Good day to Madam. My name is Mansi Shaira binti Iskandar Miza. I will begin by summarizing the movie ERIN Brockovich and connecting it to the natural law theory. ERIN Brockovich is based on a true story. ERIN is a twice divorced mother of three who struggle to find a stable work. She gets hired as a file clerk in a small law company. One day, she stumbles upon suspicious medical record and a real estate file related to small town called Hinckley, California. As she investigated further, she discovers that huge company Pacific and Gas Electric has been contaminating the town's water supply with toxic chemical. This contamination causes serious health problem to the residents. For example, causing cancer and birth defect. Despite having no legal education or background, Erin built trust with the victim, collects over 600 clients, and helps the law firm win 333 million settlement, the largest ever paid indirect action lawsuit in the US history. Erin's journey is not about winning a case, it's about standing up for justice, even when the legal system and the society are stacked against you. So, what is the connection between Erin Brockovich and the natural law theory? Natural law says that they are a universal moral truth. What is wrong and what is right, that exists beyond human law. This truth can be discovered through human reason. Erin, she's not a lawyer. Okay, she doesn't know about legal doctrine or about courtroom rules, but she knows that deep down that what PG and E company is wrong. So she follow her moral instinct and not a written law. So this is exactly what natural law is about, doing what is morally right even though no one is listening to you. Erin doesn't wait for a judge to give her permission. She acts based on justice and human dignity. So in the movie, the official legal system was slow to react, victims were ignored, and the company had a very powerful lawyer. But Erin used courage and common sense to push the system into action. Her sense of right and wrong was stronger than the legal procedure. So that is why Erin Brockovich is a strong example of natural law, because it shows that real justice often begins with moral truth and not legal authority. So that's the end for movie summary and natural law theory. I'm going past to next member. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurrahman bin Ghazali. I will be presenting from the legal positivist perspective. So, Erin Brockovich underscores that the law's authority comes from its normal enactment and recognition by legitimate institutions, not from moral approval. Although Erin begins her investigation through unconventional methods and without formal qualifications, the case succeeds because her findings are channeled into the formal legal system, supported by licensed attorneys, official procedures, and recognized legal doctrines. The 333 million settlement represents the positivist idea that justice is delivered when the established legal process, regardless of Erin's personal morality or activism, is properly followed. So for my next part is feminist legal theory. So through the lens of feminist legal theory, Erin Brockovich reveals the gender barriers faced by women in legal contexts. Erin's intelligence and determination are initially dismissed due to her appearance, working class background, and unconventional manner, reflecting the patriarchal assumptions embedded in both law and corporate culture. But however, she transforms these perceived weaknesses into strengths, building trust with victims through empathy, persistence, and community connection. So her journey challenges the notion that the law is neutral, instead illustrating how gendered expectations and systemic bias can shape legal processes and outcomes.
A very good day to Doctor. My name is Farah binti Muhammad Yunus, and now I'm going to present my part, which is critical legal studies. So, from based on this ERIN Brockovich movie, there are 4 critical legal studies that I found that relate to the movie, which is law is not neutral, power and inequality, law as politics, and the role of outsiders. So, first, law is not neutral. Why? Because the critical legal studies argues that the law reflects the interests of those in power. For example, like corporation, government, rather than serving everyone equally. So, in the film, PG&E used its resources, lawyers, and influencers to hide contamination and delay the justice. So the next is power and inequality. So critical legal studies highlights that how is a wealth and social status shape legal outcomes. So in that movie, the affected residents were poor and uneducated and lacked access to legal help. So while the PG&E had deep pockets and elite lawyers. So the next is law as politics. It rejects the critical legal studies rejects the idea that law is separate from political, social, or economic interests. So in that movie, it was just not about the facts, and but it's about shifting public opinion, gathering community support, and using the media. So the last would be role of outsiders. So the critical legal studies in that movie notes that sometimes it takes those outside from legal elite to push the justice forward. So Erin Brockovich, without legal training, was able to connect with the victims and gather the evidence and pressure the legal system into an action. Are 4 ways that Erin Brockovich showed the critical legal studies in action, which is systemic bias, corporate power versus individual justice, breaking the neutrality myth, and lastly is community empowerment. So the systemic bias is about the townspeople were initially dismissed because of they lack the formal proof, evidence, and the legal expertise in that movie. And secondly is corporate power versus individual justice. It showed that PG&E and the advantage in money, resources, and legal connections, illustrating that the David against Goliath's dynamic critical legal studies critiques. And the next is breaking the neutrality myth. Justice only happened when Erin and Ed Mesri strategically worked outside the normal legal procedures, for example, like Erin's personal interviews, direct evidence gathering, emotional appeals. Lastly is community empowerment. So the case succeeded that because of Erin Brockovich built trust and mobilized the victims, aligning with critical legal studies, it emphasized that on collective action, overbuilt faith in a legal institution. In the conclusion, the movie reminds us that the legal change often comes when people challenge the system built in inequalities rather than relying on the system to fix itself. That's all from me, Doctor. Thank you.